Hi, welcome back to my channel. So I'm back again. This isn't really like a impromptu video because I do actually have a bit of a script with me, but more so it's just like an in-betweener while I work on my amazing digital circus video, trying to finish up the script for that for what I predict to be what will happen in the final episode. Even though the creator keeps saying that no one will be able to predict it. She hasn't heard about me though, so I'm just saying I've gotten a lot of stuff right in these past few episodes. So I think I might be able to predict what happens in the final episode. Either way, this is just a hopefully quick video because I'm filming this in the middle of my lunch break. I got 30 minutes until I have to be back on the clock. Actually, 40 minutes. I got 40 minutes until I got to be back on the clock. Can I finish this video before those 40 minutes end? I guess we'll have to find out, but I don't really think so. Also, a new hairstyle. Yes, I got my hair done. They're supposed to be tribal braids. I'm a little disappointed, I won't lie. I was expecting it to look a little bit longer, not so much like a bob or for her to burn the ends. Like, these were the photos of kind of what I was imagining it to look like, and then this was like the reference I gave her to like do the braid. But I mean, it's not bad. I think it's actually, it's nice. It's just not what you expected. So I'm a tad disappointed, but it still looks nice. I also spent a lot of money, so yeah, I'm gonna wear this as long as I can. But I wanted to try out a new color, more specifically ginger, because I keep thinking about dyeing my hair ginger. And most of my friends like the color. They think the color looks really good on me. Everyone except my mom. So I think it's a good color. Anyway, this is about my book opinions. So basically, I'm just going to talk about every opinion I have when it comes to books and Booktok and Booktube and everything relating to books. And I think in total it's about 20 or 10. No, that's not 20. It's about, I'd say 15 opinions. So let's start this off now since we have a very limited time set. So, number one, not every trope is a bad trope. A lot of people don't like certain tropes, and I feel like, at least from my circumstance, it's not that a trope is bad per se. It's more so I think a lot of people tend to write the trope bad, and so it makes it a bad trope. Like, I think a love triangle can work. It's just the issue is that when most people make love triangles, they make it really obvious who they want to be the one the character ends up with, instead of like making it like a, oh, who, like kind of giving a mystery of like, okay, well, you're kind of like making it pretty hard to tell who's gonna get who. Like, they all have such like good feelings for each other, but most authors don't do that. They make it like pretty obvious off the bat who the main character is gonna end up with, which is why most of them suck. Personally, I want them all to end in polygamy. But I'm just a freak like that, so that's just me. Number two, making fanfic into a book isn't a bad thing. This has been a very hot topic issue for the past few months, especially because there is a lot of like Harry Potter fan fictions now getting adapted into their own original works. And so a lot of people are like pretty upset about it because it's like, oh, the sanctity of fan fiction. And I won't lie, there's this very weird moralization of fan fiction that I've been noticing. I don't know if anyone else has noticed like this weird like deification of fan fiction where it's like fan fiction is the only safe haven for fandom, the only lambastin left away from capitalism. And it's like, guys, it's fanfic. Like, don't get me wrong, I get it, because a lot of people see it as like, well, it's like the only thing in fandom where you can't make money off of it, which is like, I mean, I guess, but like, there's a lot of people who do things like fan art and other stuff, and they don't really try to make money off that as well. So there's still a lot of people who do fandom stuff just for the sake of it. I don't think it's an issue that someone wants to like try and make their fanfic into like their own original work, especially considering how there's so many original works out there that are fanfics. Like, there's a lot. Red, White, and Royal Blue, that was a fanfic. Dante's Inferno, that's basically biblical fanfiction. Fucking Wicked, it's an entire, like, Wicked is just fanfiction. That's what it is. It's fanfiction about the Wicked Age of the West. Like, it's fanfic. It's fanfic. That's what it is. There's so many things out there that are basically just fan fictions of other popular works. Like, humans have been retelling and adapting stories since the beginning of fucking time. Like, it's not a new thing. We're not really reinventing the paradigm. Again, and that's not even getting into like the legality when it comes to like making fan fictions into original works. I understand it to a certain degree because fan fiction has always been in this like dicey gray area. So we always have to be careful when it comes to fanfic because it could be very easily taken away from us. But yeah, it's this weird deification. I'd probably go more in depth about fan fiction and like the legality of that in my Alchemized video because that's like the biggest proponent of that whole thing. But that's not for right now. Number 3, cartoon covers aren't that bad. Honestly, I think any cover can work. You just have to know what you're doing. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what they're doing. And that's the issue with a lot of cartoon covers, is that they're getting these illustrators to do these covers, but they're being too basic about it because, of course, publishers, they kind of are trying to make the covers as similar to other good novels. Like, that's just basic publishing. I hate to tell you this. If you ever thought to yourself, why is it that so many book titles look so similar, like a song of adjective and adjective? It's because they're trying to make it look like an already popular book. So you know how there's A Court of Thorns and Roses and how it got super popular? And then you notice after that book got super popular, a whole bunch of other books started using that same title. Yeah. That's why. That's why they did that. That's why they did that. They've been trying to ride off of the success of that book, so they just make books that have very similar titles but aren't exactly that to, in a sense, almost trick people or make people think that these books are like either coming from the author or in the same universe. It's a weird thing. They basically just try to like hike off of the success of another book to try and get that to sell. That's why you'll see a lot of other like book covers have a tendency to look similar to other book covers because they're trying to do the exact same thing, trying to make a book cover look similar to a book that did really well. So if the book cover was like this cartoony orange cover, then guess what? You're going to get a whole bunch of other books that have cartoony orange covers. And because they're trying hard enough not to actually like plagiarize, it's gonna look a little bit wonky. But I do think that cartoon covers aren't that bad. I actually kind of like them depending on how they're done. But like if they're like the really simplistic stick figures, then it's like, okay, yeah, not a fan. But if it's like a very like well done like art for it, like it's well illustrated, the characters, like you can at the very least like see the outline of a face, well, I personally like that. But I also like anime and a bunch of other animated stuff, so I'm a bit biased in my opinion. Now we're on number 4. Reading the classics doesn't make you better. As an English major, I'll tell you that much. As someone who wants to get their master's in English, who's trying to study Latin, I'll tell you straight to your face. Reading the classics doesn't make you better. It doesn't. I hate to tell you, but it doesn't make you better. A lot of people have this weird superiority, especially on like Booktok, where they think that because, oh, I read the classics, so that means I'm way smarter than anybody else who reads like YA or sci-fi or fantasy. I'm way better than them. And it's like, no, you're really not. In fact, many of the classics that we like reading weren't really popular when they came out. Like a vast majority of Jane Austen's catalog, yeah, people didn't really like that stuff. There's a lot of classic literature that got dogged on when it originally came out. Like there's very few classics that like were beloved when they came out. Sherlock Holmes is one of the few that were like beloved when it came out. Like people were obsessed with fucking Sherlock Holmes. Obsessed. It was like a whole hysteria thing. People loved that book. But yeah, a vast majority of classics did not have that going on. And now people think that they're better than other people because they read classics, and it's like, no, you're really not. You're really, really not. Number 5. A lot of Booktok creators overdo their reactions. Now, I get it. If I'm getting a check, I'd be your best employee. But they really like do too much. It's like, I have cried over a book before, but like some of the crying I see people do for books, it's like, now I know damn well that you cut up an onion before you put that camera on. Like, I'm not trying to like be mean. Whoa. But like we can all tell, that, you know, you're hyping it up for the camera. Like, you use a few teardrops before you put the camera on, before you set up that camera. Like, come on. You're crying that badly over Harry Potter when you're 25? I'm not saying you can't be emotional. I'm just saying, like, come on. Let's be real. Let's really be real. Like, I've cried for books, don't get me wrong, but it's like I get a little misty-eyed. A few tears fall from my face. But other than that, no, I'm not like having a ball down where I'm screaming, hollering on the floor, barely consolable, as if someone has actually fucking died. That's weird. But hey, I get it, because when they make those videos, they be getting like millions of views. So it's like, I'd act a damn fool too. Call me a fucking jester. This one, I actually kind of have to go a bit more in depth about this one, because it's actually a little bit, this is what, number 5? No, it's number 6. So number 6, not every book needs sprayed edges. My issue nowadays when it comes to publishing, and here's the thing, if I release my book and they get sprayed edges, I'm gonna be upset about it, but I'll pretend that I'm not. I'll be upset about it, but I'll pretend that I'm not, because Lord knows that I gotta pretend to like it. But I feel like nowadays sprayed edges are just becoming like not special anymore. Like, the whole point of like having sprayed edges on a book was because the book was like a special edition, or there was something special about that book. Like, you would see sprayed edges on books that have been published for almost 15 years, or because they were getting a movie or TV show adaptation, or because the book is like this classical piece of literature, or because this book is like this world-renowned author's like really like hyped up work. Nowadays, it feels like they give a fucking spray edge to like any book that comes out the womb. Like, every single book has a sprayed edge now. It doesn't make any sense to me. It makes no sense. Why does every book have a sprayed edge now? It doesn't make sense. Like, I'll show you right now. Okay, so we have the My Beautiful Friend, My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, or Eliana. Elena? I'll just say it. Elena Ferrante. Okay, we have this. This has like sprayed edges. It has like this design of this. This has been a very popular literary classic, like a literary book. This book came out in like the 90s, so like at least 10 years before I was born. Kind of crazy to think about, but it's a pretty iconic literary fiction. It's been around for a really long time. The reason why it has sprayed edges and this special cover is because it's an omnibus, meaning it is the 4 books within this series put into one. I'm really excited to read this, honestly. Now, here's the thing. I haven't finished Alchemized. I do like it, before anyone tries to say that I don't like the book, because I do like the book. I like Alchemized. But my thing is, the paperback version has like these sprayed edges. Even this book had sprayed edges, but I didn't want to buy the sprayed edges version. This is a debut. I'm not trying to be that bitch, but it's like, why does a debut novel, a debut book, have fucking spray? Like, I remember when you had to like work hard to get a paperback. I mean, like a hardcover. Like, they would make your book a paperback, and then depending on how the sales went, they would give you a hardcover. Now, they'd be giving you a hardcover and a paperback and sprayed edges. Why? This is a debut book. I mean, I get it. The fan fiction that it was based off of was popular, but also, the author themselves no longer wants to have their fanfic associated with this book anymore. And I don't really blame them, because when I make my video about this book and I explain to you what happens to this book, I want you to guess what this was a fan fiction of. Because if I were to tell you what it's a fan fiction of, you would not believe me. Like, it's just very, very I don't know what to say. People will probably call me a bitch for it, but it's like, it's true. Every single book has sprayed edges now, and it's like so annoying. It like takes out the specialness from it. It does. The same thing goes with like signatures, and I think I also had that as an opinion on my list. Let me see if I. Yeah, I guess I didn't put it down as that, but I think the same thing about books with signatures on it, because back in the day when a book had a signature on it, it meant that it was like special, you know, like the reason why those sold so well on eBay is because, well, you basically got to wait in a line and you had this special book from the author and they're going to sign it off for you, and oh my god, it's so so special. Nowadays, I can just go on Barnes and Noble and find the signed signature of a book. What makes that special anymore? Like, we're just mass producing signed copies. Like, that takes out anything special about the book. And then most of the signatures, because again, they're having these authors basically sign like 100+ books for like hours on end to make for the signed editions that people can buy on like Barnes and Nobles or Books a Million. And so because of that, to make sure that they don't get fucking arthritis, they basically have to make it like a little squiggle so that, you know, they don't fuck up their wrists and fingers. So it's like, I'm just getting like this bad, like, it's not even like worth it anymore. It sucks. It really, really sucks. And it's like, I know I sound like a bitch complaining about it, but it's like, it's true. It's really, really true. And now my next topic is books shouldn't be advertised as fan fiction. Now here's the thing. I have noticed this. Publishers and the authors themselves, they don't normally advertise a book as a fanfic, especially if the book was originally a fan fiction. You don't really want to do that because, well, you don't want to deal with the legality of that at all. You're trying to erase the serial numbers. Yeah, trying to put it off as like, oh yeah, the award, well, not award winning, but like the popular Harry Potter fanfic. Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that at all. That's actually, you're fucking the brand up. You gonna fuck shit up. But I have noticed that a lot of influencers have been doing that. That's what happened with Alchemize. The publisher and the author themselves did not promote it as being a fanfic. They didn't put anything saying that it's like based off of the popular fanfic and blah blah blah. What did happen is that the influencers who were given like advanced readers copies, they decided to say, oh yeah, this was actually, let's like, this used to be this popular fan fiction. And that's when it all went downhill, and that's when everyone started to get pissed the fuck off, because, you know, and I won't lie, this is like a very chronically online thing. Believe me when I tell you, there's a lot of published books out there. Yeah, you wouldn't really know how many of them are fan fiction until you like hear about it. It's one of those things where it's like, it's very, again, when I make the Alchemized video, because if I get too much into it, I'll be past my lunch, and I can't have that. I work at a call center. They're strict as hell. My next opinion, this is about romance books. I don't like wedding romances. I think that they suck. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I don't like romances where the entire premise, and this is for movies as well, where the entire premise is that this character is about to get married to this other character, but then this character from their past shows up while they're about to get married, and then they end up having like this emotional affair with the other character, and then in the climax when they're about to get married, they're just like, I can't do it anymore. My heart belongs to another. This man that I haven't fucked since I was in high school. Bitch, have you lost your mind? We're at this fancy ass wedding venue that I'm pretty sure cost you at the minimum $20K. I am sure as hell that your dad took money out of his 401K for this fucking wedding, and you decide at the last minute you don't even want to marry the guy you've been fucking for the past 5 years? You want to go ahead and go and be with the guy who you haven't fucked since you were in high school, which was 10 fucking years ago? Listen, honey, I think you're just getting wedding day jitters. That's probably why you fell head over heels for him. I mean, come on. You haven't talked to the guy in 10 fucking years. 10 years. And then you guys only talk to each other for like a month or two of wedding planning. And it's like, oh, I think I've made an awful mistake. An awful mistake. Girl, you've been with the other guy for 5+ years. Technically speaking, you were with him longer than you were with your previous boyfriend from high school. Not even mentioning the fact how you guys haven't talked to each other in over 10 years. What sense would that make? That would be like me dumping my current wife because my wife, like, being together with, like, do you hear how crazy that sounds? Like, yes, it's a fictional scenario, it's a book, but it's like, come on, like, the money has been spent, your husband is like at the altar waiting, and you want to fuck your fucking high school sweetheart that you were only together with for like 2 years, and that you dumped like within by the time you guys went to college, your relationship didn't even make it to college. What does that say? If y'all couldn't even handle going to college, how the fuck you gonna handle anything else? Like, it's wedding day jitters at its fucking finest, and I'm tired of pretending that it's not. Next, a lot of people are way too mean when it comes to book reviews. A lot of you guys go way too hard. Now, I'm not saying you can't make a negative book review. God knows that I do it too. But you guys, like, go a step too far. Like, instead of just, like, criticizing the book and stuff, which is like, yeah, it might hurt the author a little bit because it's like you put your heart and soul in it. Like, that's why I do a YouTube channel on TikTok, to prepare myself for all the hate comments I'll get on my book when I release it. But at the same time, you guys take it too far. Like, you guys go from, like, just criticizing a book to, like, criticizing the person themselves, which is, like, where we're going way off the rails. Like, you should only really be talking about the book itself. Why are you dragging in the author and questioning their intelligence, or questioning this, or making fun of their appearance? Like, that's just weirdo behavior. That's weird. I can only understand that if the author themselves have made, like, a very problematic work, like the work itself is, like, racist or homophobic or some other ism. But if it's none of those things, then why are you, like, being so mean to this random person that you don't know? A very good example of this is that there was an influencer who wrote a book. Now, granted, this is going to be a later opinion, but the book was not written well. It was really, really bad. I can't even say I can defend the girl too much, because reading some of those samples, yeah, the writing was not great. But I don't blame her too much. I actually blame her editor a lot more, which is why I say we're going to get into that a little bit later. Yeah, the people were, like, dogging on her hard. Really hard. And it wasn't just for the book itself, but it was also, like, just, like, her not responding, because it's like, she's an influencer. Like, she's an influencer she does influencer stuff. And a lot of people were, like, trying to find her most recent post, and were commenting on her most recent post, like, oh, you're not going to make a TikTok about your book, you're not going to talk about your book, you're not going to make a response to your book. And it's like, why would she? You're being weird. You're being really weird. Like, you're going on her most recent post and, like, being really weird to her, because her last post was in February, before the book came out. And then they're, like, commenting, oh, you don't have anything to say about your book? You don't have anything to say about your book? Guys, say it with me now. Making a bad book is not a crime. Being a bad writer isn't against the law. I know it feels like it should be, but it's really not. She's a bad writer. Doesn't mean she needs to be stoned. You guys have this, like, weird obsession with, like, moralizing things that are just slightly annoying. Like, no, a person who, like, leaves their window open on a plane does not mean that they're an inconsiderate, selfish person who doesn't care about anybody but theirself. Like, no, that person probably just likes having their window open because they like looking out the window for a plane. Like, they bought the window seat for a reason. They like looking out the plane. But too many of y'all are on your word. Y'all are, like, tweaking the fuck out. I won't even lie. Next opinion. More book adaptations need to be animated. Listen, a vast majority of books, I will say, especially, like, fantasy and sci-fi books, gotta be animated. There's very few fantasy books that I can look at and say, yeah, you could do a live action. A Court of Thorns and Roses, I'm 50-50 on that. On the one hand, with some of the things that I've heard about those books, that sounds like something you should be animating. But on the other hand, I could also see it being live action. I think the issue is that, especially in the West, we have a tendency to conflate animated with being for kids, and so a lot of the time, most industries are not trying to like do animated shows. But like animated shows can be good as well for like adult media. That's why I really like anime, because anime isn't afraid to like animate adult stuff. Like they'll do the blood and they'll do this and they'll do that and all these like complicated plot points, but they don't do that in like animation here, very rarely. Like I think Arcane is like the only example I can think of like animation for like an adult audience that doesn't look like shit. Let me specify, that doesn't look like shit. Too many adult animations like to make like really shitty animation, and it's like, no, you can put the budget in. I don't know why you choose not to. It's like this very weird dichotomy. Like I could talk about that forever, where it's like we have this weird obsession of like separating art from like important stuff, even though art is like influential in like so many different things. Like we feel as if art is like only for kids and lesser than and not mature, when art has always been a rather mature field. I mean, even the kid cartoons that your child watches were made by a fully grown adult. So I'm just saying. So another one I have is, and this is like a more internet thing, a book having sex with it in it is not the end of the world. I've been noticing a lot more people. Now listen, I used to be like that, but I was like 17. Now that I'm 22, I don't really give a shit. There's nothing wrong with there being sex in books at all. I could question like when it's like teenagers, but even then, teenagers have sex. let's be real with ourselves. Teenagers have sex. I should know. I went to high school. I found a few too many condoms. But on the bright side, they were using condoms. But yeah, teens have sex. Now granted, do I think we need to like have a lingering scene of like teenagers having sex? No. But you could imply, without being graphic about it, that like, hey, these characters had sex. But when it comes to like two consenting adults, yeah, nothing wrong with there being a sex scene. Nothing wrong with there being smut. I actually think that you could make a very artistic way of like writing about sex, because sex is about connection. I don't know why people nowadays are treating sex like this abrasion of some sort. Like, oh my god, we are becoming Puritans. We really are becoming Puritans. Like, you guys treat sex like it's this like graphic awful thing, when it's like, it's not. It's about like connection and love. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, people fuck just because they want to fuck. If that's you, you have fun. But a lot of sex can be loving and caring and wanting to connect with another person. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind. Now, this is actually not a book opinion. This is just a regular opinion. People who get on your case about pronunciation piss the fuck out of me. Especially when you have like an accent. Like, I don't understand why people do this so much. Especially nowadays. And I'm very used to it because I'm from like the Caribbean. Like, if you're from any Caribbean island, it really doesn't matter. Jamaica, Bahamas, Barbados. It doesn't matter what island you're from. Someone's gonna critique your fucking accent and say that you're not pronouncing a word correctly. And it's like, I think we remember learning about like dialects and accents from a very young age. And I don't know why for some reason you're pretending like that doesn't count. Like, they'll hear you pronounce water, because where I'm from, it's like, we pronounce it wata. A lot of people say wata. And then you'll hear someone go, it's actually water, not wata. If you were able to understand the word well enough to correct me on it, maybe you don't need to correct me. Have you ever thought about that? Same thing goes with like American accents. Like, for some reason people are shocked that like Americans pronounce things differently. Like this whole situation, I mean, you know, the political situation with Iran. But a lot of people don't like how Americans pronounce Iran, even though that's just how it is when we see a word that starts with IR. The word iris Iris. We're going to pronounce it like it's an I. We're going to put a lot of emphasis on the I sound. Iris, Ireland, Iraq, Iran. And a lot of people were mad at that because it's like, well, when the locals pronounce it, and it's just like, listen, I understand it to an extent, but also, and no one's gonna pronounce every single country, especially if they're speaking completely different language, how that person from that native country pronounces it. I highly doubt that someone from Iran is pronouncing America the way it's supposed to be pronounced in an English accent. They're just not. Listen how British people pronounce the word aluminum. Aluminium. That's a really weird way to pronounce it, but I can't get too much on them. That's just how they pronounce it. Right? That's just how they pronounce the word. I can't get too much on their case about that. Every single place has a different dialect. Every single place has a different accent. That's like me getting on Canadians for saying a boot. That's just how they pronounce it. That's their fucking accent. I can't get mad at that. I can't. Like you guys are so insufferable. And then when people just do that weird thing where they want to like be like, I get it, you want to be progressive and stuff, but it's like, it's weird. It's like when people pronounce Cuba, Cuba. You don't know Spanish, Griffin. You don't know Spanish. Why are you pronouncing it with a Spanish accent when you don't speak Spanish? Like, we're not gonna jump you for pronouncing Cuba with an American accent. You're American. You're gonna pronounce it that way. It's like if I say I'm Puerto Rican and then someone's like, oh, you're Puerto Ricana. Why are you saying that? We're speaking in English. You don't know Spanish. Why would you suddenly pronounce it like that? Pronouncing Paris as Paris. You don't speak French. You're not speaking French right now. Mexico, Mexico. Like, no, you're not like, no one's gonna jump you for pronouncing it the way that your accent and language has you pronounce it. That's just how it is. If we were to gang up on how everyone pronounces a certain word, we'd be fucked over. Does anyone get on a person with a Mexican accent's case for how they pronounce English words? No, because they're learning a completely different language. It's not gonna be perfect. Like, yeah, they're gonna have a heavy accent, but if I can at the very least understand what you're saying, hey, it's not a problem. If we can understand what the person is trying to say, it shouldn't be a problem. But now I really gotta hurry because I got 7 minutes, so we really gotta make this count. But we're halfway through the list anyway. This one is simple and to the point. Self-help sucks. It does. Think about it. How many of y'all have read a self-help book that you actually like, that was actually beneficial to you? So many of them are literally just telling you the most basic level shit ever. Hell, I saw a self-help book that is like super popular. It's called The Let Them Theory. The title already tells you what to do. What the fuck do you need to buy the book for? Why? Next up, sci-fi is constantly depressing. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand it to an extent. Most sci-fi has a tendency to like explore very grim scenarios and dystopian futures, but like, why is that almost every single sci-fi book? Like, think about it. If you're a sci-fi reader, when was the last time you read a sci-fi book that was like actually a little bit hopeful? You can't say Project Hail Mary. Now think about that. Like, I can't find a single like fun sci-fi book. Like, when it comes to fantasy, I can find a fun fantasy book. I can find a happy fantasy book. I can find a depressing as fuck fantasy book. I can find a grim, dark horror fantasy book. This is basically a fucking horror fantasy. But if I were trying to find like a fun, uptown, happy-go-lucky sci-fi book, yeah, no. I might as well just kill myself. Because you can't fucking find it. You just can't. And the same thing goes, because this is my second opinion. A vast majority of sci-fi settings, depressing as shit. Why is it, like, the planet that we live on is so beautiful, so diverse, so many different colors and plants and geography and mountains and so much beautiful life on this planet. And yet every single sci-fi experience is going to take place in a fucking desert. In a fucking desert. Why? why do so many sci-fi set themselves in a desert or in like a forest, but for some reason instead of the forest being like a funky alien color, it's green? A water planet. Maybe we might be on a snow planet. Like, why is it always these desolate locations that are only like this one color scheme? Like, damn, is the budget that strict? We can't do something else fun? Look at all the cool stuff within nature that we have. And the most creative thing you could come up with for an alien world is a fucking desert. Bitch, give me a break. Next up, moralizing reading. Now, don't get me wrong. I do, to an extent, I can see it. I won't go too in depth, but it's like, we do it a little bit too much. Like, there's this weird over moralization of reading. Like, oh, if you read this book, then you're like this blah, 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 blah. Like, you're this racist, pedophilic, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, whoa, slow the fuck down. Calm down. Sometimes people don't know that certain books were like written by certain like authors or have these certain themes in them. And it's like, some people will like look at your bookshelf and it's like, I don't blame them, but there's only really one book I could see on someone's bookshelf where I would think to myself, okay, yeah, there's something wrong with you, definitely. This person has their bookshelf in their background. I wonder what kind of interesting books I can see. Okay, they have Akotar. Okay, kind of problematic author, but all right. Harry Potter. Okay, a little problematic. Oh, they have B. Schwab. Oh, that's my favorite author. Ooh, Secret History. That's good too. What's that book? Oh. Okay, that was how do I block somebody on YouTube? The next one. Chapters are too long. Listen. I don't have an issue with a long chapter, but there has to be a cutoff. Listen, a chapter, on average, I'll say, should be anywhere between 8 to 12 pages. I think that should just be the standard criteria for any single chapter. Okay? Any chapter. If we wanted to do a really long chapter, 25. If it's like the climax of a book, 30. I can see that. I can see 30 as a maximum. What I don't understand, why are we making chapters that are almost 50 pages long? Like, there are authors, Casey McQuiston, that just go on and on and on, and you can like tell that they should have already cut off the chapter, Casey McQuiston, but they don't. They just keep going and going and going. Casey McQuiston, and they don't fucking like, they make these chapters so fucking long. Every fucking time I read one of their books, they made the chapter like 40 fucking pages. For fucking what? Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I went too far. I can admit that. The next one is, some of y'all buy too many books. And I will say that the enemy is closer than they may appear. But we do. Some of us have way too many to-be-read books and not enough already read books. That's why I'm trying to like read as many books as I can. I've gone on a book buying, I guess not a ban, but I have restricted my book buying until I have finished like a vast majority of the books that I already have. And I'm trying to like really cut down on it. But it is a problem. We be buying too many books. We really, really do. My next one, overdoing trigger warnings. Now, I don't have an issue with a trigger warning in a book, but it's like, I understand if it's for like actual like super graphic material, like rape, sexual assault, child death, fertility issues, like those types of things. Things that are like really, really sad and awful and triggering and things that a lot of people have gone through. But do we really need a trigger warning for the fact that there are spiders in the book? Like, some of y'all treat trigger warnings in books like it's AO3 tags. This is a published work. I don't need you to put a trigger warning for spiders. Listen, I get it. And I know people aren't really going to like that opinion, but it's like, it goes a bit too far. Like it gets to a point where it's like, okay, is this necessary? I don't know. We're gonna have to try again when I get on my 15-minute break, because I need to clock back in like now. So I'll see you hopefully when my 15-minute break happens. We're back again in the shitty lighting room because I wasn't able to finish in enough time. But this video is definitely going to be under an hour, so that's one good plus. And then after this, I'm going to be filming a video for my gaming channel. Yes, I have a gaming channel, which I will link in my description. It's going to be Resident Evil. And I'm a little bit scared because I've never actually played a Resident Evil game. I just watched the gameplays for it. Anyway, we only had 4 more opinions to go to, so let's finish up those 4 opinions and call this video quits. So the next one, now this is very specific for me. The font sizes are too small. It's like, I feel like the font sizes are getting smaller and smaller. Like, I started noticing that, like, the higher the reading level I went, the smaller the font sizes got. Like, I read Percy Jackson, like a little bit of Percy Jackson. The font size was perfectly fine. I tried reading A Brilliant Friend, because I like to at least read a few pages just to see if I like it. That print is so fucking small. I'm, like, constantly squinting my eyes. I have really bad vision. Like, I mean really bad vision. I'm only 22, but I have the eyesight of, like, a 50-year-old, honestly. Probably even worse than a 50-year-old. For reference, these are my glasses. If I bring them up to the camera, I'm pretty sure you can see the lenses escaping out of the frames. That's how thick my glasses are. For reference, this current prescription that I have is -8.5. And I wouldn't be surprised if when I go to my next doctor's appointment, because I'm planning on getting contacts just to, like, you know, make it look a lot, like, I keep hearing that I would look good without contacts, which, I mean, without glasses. I mean, I'll still wear glasses, but what's your opinion? Do you think I look better without contacts? I mean, without glasses? I can't really tell you because I can't see myself in the fucking camera. That's how bad my vision is. I literally cannot see my face in this camera. I can barely see my hand. I can see the colors of my hand, but I can't see my hand defined. I can barely see my fingers. Oh my god. My vision is actually, wow, that's really, really bad. That's awful. Wow, that's really bad. I was not expecting it to be that bad. Yeah, that's bad. But yeah, the font sizes are getting too small. Way too small. Has anyone else had this struggle? People who don't have bad eyesight like me? Because for me, every time a new typeface, like, they'll even put, like, what type of typeface they're using, and I'm thinking to myself, stop using that typeface. I can barely read. And the worst thing is, the higher the level, the smaller the font. They think that they're slick with it, but I see it. The YA novels don't use that tiny ass font. Why are all of the literary and adult fiction ones using that tiny ass font? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me, because if it's for older people, then shouldn't it be big as hell? Doesn't make any sense. Next opinion. Romance has become too dull. I'm sorry, but most of the romances out there are super cookie cutter. Like, it's so basic and rudimentary, and I think that's why a lot of people have slowly started to, like, go towards romantasy more than just regular romance, because it's like, I think the issue with romance nowadays is that a lot of romance, they don't really focus on, like, the two people being their own separate characters and just, like, falling in love with each other. Now it just kind of feels like the two characters' only personality traits is to fall in love with each other, and not like, oh yeah, we have our own goals and aspirations and we're our own people and we have our own things going on. Like, now it just feels like event, sex, event, sex, event. Third act conflict, lots of miscommunication, and then wedding. Like, that's what a lot of romances feel like nowadays. It's very cookie cutter. Like there's nothing like more exploration, like more deeper themes, which is why I feel like a lot of romances from back in the day hit a little bit harder, and why I think a lot of people are more drawn towards romantasy, because it's like there's more of a plot, like there's something else going on besides just the love story. Like now it just feels like the love story is like basic as hell, but at least with romantasy, even if it's a little basic, at least there's something going on in the background, like some sort of other stakes, as opposed to like regular romance where it's like, what are the stakes here? It's not as if like you're showing us that like these two might not end up together, or that these two have something going on that's like stopping them from like fully accepting each other, or there's some sort of like societal issue that's making it hard for them to fall in love. It's like, no, none of that's happening, and it makes it very dull and boring. My next opinion is that there's too many Fae books. Listen, there's so many Fae books nowadays. Fae books are becoming this generation's vampire books. I'm so serious. Wait, aren't you writing a Fae book? Well, the enemy's a little bit closer than they may appear. I'll say that much. I can admit to that. But yeah, no, it's a lot. Like, think about how many Fae books that you've been getting nowadays. And I won't lie, a lot of them aren't Fae. They're kind of just elves, which that's not an issue, but it's like, the Fae are supposed to be like tricksters. Like, they're tricksters, they play games, they're conniving, and now a lot of these like Fae don't really act like Fae, they more act like elves. And I know what you're thinking, aren't they the same? They're not. I would say elves are like a nicer cousin to Fae, depending on how you write them. The Fae are like normally just tricksters. They're not known for being like good people. And then the last of it, the very last of it, and this is gonna be the most controversial one. Like, I honestly think you guys are gonna hate me for this one. I think e-readers are a waste of money. Jump me all you want, but I really do think that's the case. I think a lot of e-readers, they're a waste. They're a waste of a motherboard. They're a waste of technology. They're a waste of a touchscreen. They're a waste. It's a less useful tablet to me. And you know, if you like your e-reader, I don't have an issue with that. I'm glad you enjoy it. I just think that they're a waste of money. Because my thing is, you could buy a regular iPad like I have and just download the app for the book. Like, buy the Barnes & Noble's e-reader app, buy the Kindle app, and then you'll just have the books automatically downloaded to your tablet. Like, that's how I see it. To me, I just see e-readers as like a middleman, a useless middleman that costs like almost $100, and it's like $100 for what? For a less useful iPad? Think about it. Its only function is books. That's it. And I got an e-reader and I was just like, this is actually kind of useless. It's like a less effective iPad. That's all that it is. Because all I can do on it is read. That's all it does. I can't even buy the books off of it. Like, I have to go on a separate device, buy the books, and then wait for the book to download on the other device, and then read from it. Which is like, why would I do that when I could buy the book on my iPad, and then go on the app, and then read it on my iPad? Like, for more money, yeah, it's more money, but it's like, I get a bigger screen, I have way more uses as opposed to like just the Kindle or Barnes & Noble's e-reader, where all I can do is just read it. That's all I can do. I can just go into the app and read. And it's like, what? At least with this, I can go on the internet, I can go on YouTube, I can watch Netflix, I can draw, I can edit, I can do all types of shit. I can write notes. Like, there's so much other stuff I can do with this. Why would I waste my money on a device that's $100? Like, why is it $100 as well? $100 for what?
for an ineffective tablet that can only do one thing. But you guys like them, so I'm not gonna like harken on that. But yeah, for me, just a waste of money. It's just a waste of fucking money. But that's it for all of my book opinions. What are some of your book opinions? Please comment down below for engagement. Also, as a fun little game, let's share our personality types from the Myers-Briggs personality test. In fact, why don't you guess my personality type? I hope you guys can guess right, because I actually have two. I've taken the test like 4 times, and each time I got I basically got 2 different ones each time, but they were the 2 same. The only difference is that it changes like by 1 letter. I'll give you a hint. The main one I get the most, the 3rd letter is the F, and then the second one that I get is the one that's the 3rd letter is a T. So the only thing that changes is the F and the T. It interchanges. But I am told I act more like the one with the F as opposed to the one with the T. My friends like to describe it, the F one is the one that I act the most like, and the T one is the way that I actually like think. So that's your hint. Guess the personality type, and then tell me what your personality type is. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Get ready for my amazing digital circus video. Next week, I'm going to try and see if I can post 3 videos within quick succession of each other. Will that happen? Maybe. I'm not going to guarantee anything. We're just going to have to look and see. But if I can, you'll get like 3 videos within April. Technically 4 with this one. But we'll only see then. So thank you so much for, watching this video to the end. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.